Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here, Moss Pawn & Gun. We're continuing our coverage, Big 3 East, down here, Daytona Beach, Florida. Beautiful weather. I'm here with Scott from RS Regulate. If you guys haven't heard of RS Regulate, these guys are making some awesome AK and SVD mounts. They've also got some interesting rail options that are going to be coming out for the Galil Ace. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have going on? Now, like what made you want to start making these mounts?
Sure. When I started this, there was essentially no way you could put an optic in a co-witness centered location on every AK.
All right.
So this is my personal AK here. You got a micro T1 and a lower third co-witness on any gun, because you can now adjust with our AK300 system. You can adjust gross windage to be directly over bore on any AK with the side rail. And they're made with two pieces, so you can do that. So you'll choose the lower based on the gun you want, and the upper for the optic you want. So you can do a front optic, you can do a rear optic, you can do an ACOG, you can do a full-length scope, you can do a little micro, a 30 millimeter. And so all the little optics, the 30 millimeters, the T1 micros, the clones, they all get low enough to do a lower third co-witness on the gun. So,
you know, and I had a chance to actually shoot an AK that's equipped with one of these mounts yesterday, and it was very interesting how you don't have that chin weld. Like I've got an AK-74, a little Sega conversion I did, and it's got the Polish barrel stock, which is, you know, kind of a very small stock in terms of the tubular skeletonized design, and you kind of have that chin weld. You almost have to kind of dig your chin on it, which it works, and the gun is accurate, but it's nowhere near as low and intuitive to use as this is. I mean, even with that barrel stock that I have on my Sega, I could certainly get a good cheek weld with this low scope mount. And I do like the fact that you have the ability to co-witness with the irons. That's something that really no other scope mount for the Kalashnikov series of rifles is going to offer.
Yep.
I do like on this, at least from my perspective, I like how if I wanted the sight radius to be a little longer, say I was running some sort of a, I don't know, magnified optic or something, if I wanted it to sit further back, whether it's because of your preference for eye relief or just the way that that particular optic is designed, if you need, like, say, for instance, you want to run an ACOG. I know that running ACOGs on AKs can be a chore if the mount is not set up just right. The eye relief on an ACOG is very specific. You know, it's not very much space, and it can be different than some of the other optics that are out there. So I could see this as being a viable option for mounting something like an ACOG on your Kalashnikov rifle.
They work very well with the AKs, and with an ACOG, they got the hole in the base for the iron sights to look through on an AR-15. You can actually do the same thing with this mount, where you can actually use that as a crude ghost ring through, see your irons through the base of the ACOG. And
the funny thing is with the base of that ACOG having that little witness hole, you could just about, like, say something was real close, just look through the hole and just squeeze the trigger. Don't worry about where the sights are. If you can see it through that hole, there's a strong chance that within 25 yards or close by, you're going to hit within the general vicinity of your intended target.
Absolutely.
I noticed you've got a beautiful SVD over here.
Yep.
You're making mounts for the SVD, and then also you have the Romanian ones for the PSLs.
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of the PSL. This is just a beautiful Dragunov, an SVD. And a lot of folks don't know, I mean, the SVD is a different animal than the PSL. The PSL is basically a giant AK, which is fine. You know, the barrels are reasonably rigid. The receivers have a reasonable thickness to them. Yep. They are a modified FPK receiver. So as the original guns use basically kind of a heavy-ish machine gun receiver with a heavy-ish barrel. They tend to not really whip around quite so bad, but the neat thing about the SVD is it's really built as a target rifle. It's a specific rifle built for precision shooting in a semi-automatic form. So your mount here is your SVD 305, and that seems like it lays on there nice.
Lays on there as tight as we could get it. One of the design philosophies I use is we want to be the lightest, thinnest, and strongest on the marketplace. So everything's billet 6061 aluminum. Again, this combination we saw earlier with this T1 micro, it's 5 ounces. Add the optic, you're a hair under 8 ounces combined weight for the whole thing.
For sure.
You're less than a third of an inch added to the width of your rifle. So on this SVD, for instance, it hugs the contour all the way across the receiver. So again, you're adding a little bit more than a 1/4 inch on this rifle, and then you're able to actually put modern Western optics directly over bore on an SVD now. One thing that was very difficult to do before.
So the tension, and for those of you that don't know, when you're talking about, you know, AK-based scope mounts, you know, that are actually, you know, riveted to the side of the receiver. They usually use a lever style of tensioning system that snaps into place, and that tension can be set for each individual rifle. Your mount's set up in a very similar way. If I want that thing to over-cam, that lever to cam nice and hard and snap down real positively, I can set it up that way where I can get the absolute amount of tension I need that's allowed with the geometry of the mount and the rail.
Yep, and then again, it's quick detach, return to zero. So you can pop that lever off. On ours, they're fully shrouded, so your gear's not gonna snag it, you're not gonna accidentally pop it out. You gotta get your finger inside and pull it out, pull it off, put it right back on, shut the lever, you're zeroed exactly where you were before. So in addition to our optic rails, a lot of guys have problems with mounting white lights or laser designators on an AK because there's not a lot of places to put them. So I came up with this, what we call the BM1. That's 1 ounce added to the front end of your rifle. You can put it in between your handguard or your gas block, or just in front of your gas block. It's a little short piece of Picatinny rail. Enables you to put a light or any other type of accessory out the front. But the important thing is it does not change your grouping, does not change your accuracy.
Nice. So, well, last but not least, let's talk about the Galil Ace here. Now, this is a gun that you guys have probably seen on the channel a time or two. These things are not quite available yet. But they'll be coming out very soon. This is the IWI Galil Ace, and this has a very special addition to it. Could you tell us about it?
So this is our new RS GAR rail, the Galil rail here. This is a 14-inch model key mod, and it's designed by somebody who actually shoots AKs, who knows where they get hot, where they get painful, what things need to move and what don't need to move. So in this particular instance, we'll be bringing these out in the summer. This is roughly 8 ounces, which is about the same as the handguard you would take off. So your net zero weight. You'll have key mod, probably M-LOK and others as well. And you got heat shields up here so you don't touch this roasting hot gas tube. And you get all the functionality of key mod. You can, if you want to get way out on it, you could. If you wanted to come back in, you can.
Not to mention all the added functionality of adding accessories and things like that.
Accessories and all the opportunities that you want to be able to customize your rifle to fit your own body, the way you hold your own rifle, the way you like to shoot. You'll be able to do that instead of having the little short, stubby Israeli military grip, which ends about right here. So you add another 2/3 longer.
And I'm pretty sure that would also have some heat dissipation qualities as well.
Yep.
So that works well. And that's a very futuristic looking gun as it sits. I mean, that's probably the most modern AK I think I've ever seen right there.
Yep.
You know, it really, you know, the AK's come a long way, and it's one of the, you know, everybody talks about black rifles, you know, and now I think the AK now can truly be considered a black rifle. It's not just wood and metal anymore. The platform's really come a long way, and I'm happy to see that there's a lot of cool accessories out there for us AK nuts, because I know personally I'm a huge fan of comm block weaponry, and it's really neat to see that there's folks like you that are taking the gun seriously.
Yep.
And I think there's a huge misconception in the market with people when it comes to how seriously that they have taken comm block weaponry in terms of a viable platform, not only for sporting use, defense, hunting, but life and liberty as well, or just fun factor. Once people start taking the platform seriously and treating it with respect and putting good glass on it, putting good mounts on it, feeding it good ammunition, taking it as seriously as they do the precious AR, I think that folks will find that the Kalashnikov pattern is certainly not to be messed with.
They'll be pleasantly surprised, is what I always say.
Well, Scott, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you much, sir.
Outstanding. Well, guys, if you're curious to check out his stuff, there's links in the description box below. We've been having a great time here at Big 3. It's been a really pleasant experience, lots of good people. This event is certainly worth coming to, and we'll be attending it in the future. Guys, stay tuned. Much more content on the way, much more from Big 3. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.